What is up, everybody? It is Chris and Eddie from One More Game OMG MTG with a week 1 review of Streets of New Capenna. I'm pretty stoked
Let's
about
get
this.
after it.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about this. Going back to the 1920s, and this place is just straight epic. I cannot wait for this.
Yeah, man. It's like Goodfellas. Like I'm all about this mafia stuff and this mob stuff. It's so cool. And really exciting.
All right, first things first is a pretty straight up epic thing in my opinion. It is the Triome land cycle. We're finishing out the land cycle with this. The Triome cycle, even though they're not called Triomes in this set around, they're still phenomenal. I cannot wait to throw these in pretty much every single deck that I'm playing out. And now they have the altered arts frames on them as well. It definitely is going to add that extra flair to all your decks right from the get-go.
Yeah, this is something that's definitely going to help to improve your decks. I mean, anytime you have a fetchable land that can be all three of your commander's color identities or more, it's amazing, right? So let's get these, let's play them, and try to get your hands on them before they spike.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and they're gonna get up there. Even in the said the basic ones usually end up around $10 for the basics out there. You want to get these right away.
For sure, for sure. So kind of hilarious, but I have yet to see any of these new cards. So charms, this is exciting. This is super amazing, right? The fact that we get charms back, right? So let's see what we got. We got Cabarati Charm, which costs Naya, red, green, and white. And it says it's an instant that says choose one. Cabarati Charm deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. Or creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Or you can choose the last mode, which is create 2/1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. I would say this is good. It's a 3 mana instant speed removal spell. I mean,
Yeah.
that's dope.
Especially in the Cabarati Go Wide strategy, it's gonna be doing like generally a minimum of at least 3 or more damage to that creature or that planeswalker. And even that little buff on the back end, and if you don't have the creatures, getting the option to have more creatures in the field is definitely a pretty solid option for the Cabaratis.
Yeah, it's good at any point in the game. That's something that's going to help to remove creatures, possibly win you the game with that trample and the buff, or just fill up your board if you need some blockers.
All right, and the next we have the Broker's Charm, which is Bant, which is green, white, and blue. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to the power target creature or planeswalker opponent controls. Again, fight ability, always solid, typical Bant options. You also have the option to destroy target enchantment or draw 2 cards. I think this is the most well-rounded Bant option you could have had, so I'm pretty excited about that. The fight ability is still on the edge for me personally, but removing enchantments and drawing 2 cards are perfect. But again, I wish it was a buff a little bit more, like maybe give it trample on top of the fight instead of the fight ability. That's just my personal opinion on the broker one.
No, I definitely agree. Fight abilities are always a little weird or janky to me. But what I will say is this is potentially removal for a creature or planeswalker, removal for an enchantment or a card draw spell, 3 mana draw 2 cards. That's not bad at instant speed. I think that's definitely a good card and something we're going to see a lot in Commander. All right, next up we have Rivets Charm. This one costs Jund. It is black, a red, and a green for an instant spell with choose one. Target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker they control with the highest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers that they control. Or exile the top 3 cards of your library until end of turn. Oh, actually, sorry. Until your next end step, you may play those cards. Yeah, that makes it so much better. Exile, or you can exile target player's graveyard. This is my favorite so far.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that about the Jund one. Yeah, legitimately.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite so far. So you can make an opponent sacrifice their biggest thing. Yes, please. Well, not biggest thing, right? Highest mana value thing.
Which
but
is generally the biggest
typically,
thing, yep.
Yeah, typically when you're spending the most mana for it, it's usually the most impactful card that's on the board. You can make them exile the top 3 cards. I'm sorry, you can exile the top 3 cards of your library until your next end step. And you can play those cards. That's amazing because if you can play it on an opponent's turn and be able to play those cards until the end of your next turn, that's absolutely incredible. I run into weird cards in Prosper that kind of don't let you play, and you have to play them on your opponent's turn if you cast them at instant speed. So being able to do that is great. And then anytime you can exile a player's graveyard, that's extremely impactful. In
all honesty,
yeah, I think I agree. You said a bunch of people were saying this was their favorite. I agree with them. This is my absolute favorite.
All right, next will be the Maestro's Charm, which is Grixis colors. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest into the graveyard. Impulse draw in a sense, but so on that one. Each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. And the last one would be Maestro's Charm, deals 5 damage to target creature or Planeswalker. It's nice how they made it 5. That's similar back to the Cruel Ultimatum, but this one personally to me, the 3 damage might be something worth there, but there's way more options that be in that situation that just I don't think this would work out too well.
Yeah, I agree. That middle one and the last one are definitely not the best. Although 5 damage is a lot, and that's probably going to get rid of a creature. Like it's very likely that it's going to kill something. I mean, it takes care of Sir Conrad, right? So that's already impactful. That first ability is really good, especially in a deck like Kess. That's going to be great. So the next one is Obscura Charm. It costs Esper. That's white, a blue, and a black. For choose one, return target multicolored permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Or you can counter target instant or sorcery spell. Yeah, that's what we need, another counter.
Yep.
Or you can destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. Yeah, this card's good.
Yeah, I'm all about this one. For me personally, I think that this one's my favorite, and then the Cabaret is my second favorite. Just the recursion effect that's just little guys, and playing a lot more Esper lately. I do enjoy this.
Yeah, and I mean, with your Esper deck, you tend to blink a lot, right? That's pretty much any Esper deck out there for the most part. So if you're blinking a lot when something goes to the graveyard, this is almost like a pseudo blink, right? You get to bring it back from the graveyard to the battlefield and make that ETB happen again. I think that's great.
And next up, we have the mob bosses. This is actually a lot of hype's been around this in the last week and a half, so this is pretty insane. First one we have out is Lord Zander the Collector, which pretty much everyone is like super hyped and super salty about because of what it can do. It is 4 ink Grixis for a 6/6 Vampire Demon Noble, which already off the start is pretty epic. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards half their cards in their hand, rounded down. Not too bad. When it attacks defending player, this is the fun part, mills their library by half rounded down. And when it were to die, target opponent sacrifices half their non-land permanents rounded down.
I love that middle ability is an attack trigger and not a deals combat trigger.
It just attacks. Not literally just attacks.
You literally don't have to hit the player. Like, mill half your stuff.
Like I get it. It's 7-drop, and a lot of like top 7 drops are like quote unquote win the game almost. And this dude is the mob boss of.
Yeah, but how many, even at 7 mana, that's kind of cheap, right? How many powerhouse creatures can you think of that are gonna empty out a player's library like that, right? I mean, with the exception of Ulamog, I don't know of one, and Ulamog only hits 20.
And especially the fact that like if you give this haste to sack out on the field,
oh man,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this card's good. I will say that while it probably is my favorite of the mob bosses, it's probably the one that I'm not going to build, unfortunately, because I mean it's instant arch enemy. I even posted it on our Discord. I was like, so what's a way that I can build this without it without being attacked by everybody? There really isn't one. As soon as they see this, everyone's coming after you. There's no doubt about it. Like you can make it a group hug deck and everybody's gonna kill you with it. Like so the next one is Falco Spara Pact Weaver. It costs 1 Enchant, that's green, white, and a blue for flying and trample. It has Falco Spara Pact Weaver enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature that you control, in addition to paying their other costs. This is really cool. I actually like this. It's a 3/3 flying trample, which is, I mean, somebody like Chris is going to turn this into a Voltron strategy, right? Try to deal as much damage as you possibly can. Plus, shield counters are great. It's almost like totem armor, which is really cool. So it's a way of protecting your general. And then on top of that, being able to cast the top card of your library. I mean, that's an extra card in hand, right?
And it's any counter too, which is pretty awesome. I like how in the last few sets they've been putting focus on like the counters themselves. So you can even remove a 1/1 counter from something and now cast the top of your deck. That's pretty awesome. All right, then the next one is Zeotora, the Incinerator, 3 and Gen for a 6/6 Demon Dragon flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Zeotora, the Incinerator, deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target, and you create 3 treasure tokens. Already having a fling on a body is pretty insane. It's nice how they put it on another creature instead of itself. That way you're not like getting little shenanigans on that one. But the staple, just slapping on 3 treasure tokens, I like it a lot. It's straight up just Jund. This has got Jund written all over it, so that's why I like it.
How many Jund dragons do we need?
I know, and that's the thing.
This
Is
is
like
yet another one, right?
I think that's why they took some time to like announce this, because they didn't want to like just straight up like, go, hey, we have another Jund dragon doing sacrifice effects.
Yeah, I mean my all-time favorite deck that I probably play the most is Prosh, right? I love that deck. It's all about aristocratic type stuff and sacrificing things. But one of the things that always comes up is if I didn't draw into a sack outlet, how do I get rid of Prosh? And
Yep.
this is yet another sack outlet to get rid of Prosh. And it's even better because I'm flinging Prosh at somebody, which is amazing, right? Think about the amount of damage and how impactful that is. And then on top of that, I get 3 treasure tokens to be able to recast Prosh the following turn. This is incredible. I love this card. It's definitely going in that deck, and I might consider building around it too. And then next one we have is Rafine, Scheming Seer. This one costs Esper, white, a blue, and a black. Why is this only costing 3 mana?
Big facts.
so it is a 1/4 with flying and ward 1. So as if it wasn't cheap enough, now it's more expensive for your opponents to target it. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. This seems insanely fun. You're going to be dumping things into your graveyard like crazy with that connives trigger, and it's pretty much like what's his name, Varina, right? This is like Varina on a flyer, and you just build flying tribal around this and do the same Varina shenanigans.
And it has the
This
blue
is
that
amazing.
when I played Giraffe, you sacrifice a thing and you get more zombies on top of it.
Yes. That's so good.
There's a lot of Esper-based zombie synergies that this is going to go extremely well as the commander for. All right, and then lastly, we have probably my favorite out of all of them, hands down, is Mare Nexus of Revels, which is 1 Anaya for a 5/4 cat demon, already off to a grand start. Creatures you control get +1 and +0, and have vigilance as long as you have 3 or more creatures. Very simple. Creatures you control get +1 and +0 if you have and trample. Oh, there's so many texts here. And as long as you control 6 or more creatures, and creatures you control also get +1 +0 and have double strike as long as you control 9 or more. 3/6/9.
Who needs a Crater Hoof?
Yep, 3/6/9. Oh, this is fine. This is it's a party, and I love how Mare is the leader of the party, and I absolutely love this. You can get basically play Mare, and then you have any Dragon Fodder, for example. Throw 2 tokens on the field. Now they're all getting +1 +0 and vigilance. Super simple. This guy's
I think that's where this deck really shines. Is go tribal, pick a tribe, pick goblins, something that can put out a lot of creatures really quickly. Pick elves, and play an elf ball deck. Or in Chris's case, pick cats.
Yeah,
and just go nuts.
This has all the colors that you need. I've been seeing. I have my cat deck. I've been considering just building a go wide token strategy with this deck, but I might just say screw and let me go make a cat demon go wide strategy on that and just play cat tribal again, splashing some red.
Speaking of, I'm kind of mad at these demons not having black in them. Like, what's up with that? Falco and Mare, how are they demons?
Yeah, literally. Somehow that's just what they considered a demon, is just the boss.
Hey, apparently it works.
Deals, that's probably why.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll go with that. And now we have the 3 planeswalkers, which I always want. I always want more and don't want more, so I'm always on the mixed bag. But again, these are pretty epic. First off, we have Ob Nixilis, the Adversary. 1 in Rakdos for 3 starting loyalty with casualty X. When it enters battlefield, you casualty X, basically sacrificing another creature with at least a certain power, and then you create a copy of Ob Nixilis, which then its starting loyalty is that X, which is the power. That's already solid, cool start. I like that a lot because you have the option of basically making like a decoy for him, which I think is pretty epic. I am all for having that option because decoys, especially in like the mob scene, is definitely pretty insane, and I'm for that right there. It's +1 ability. Each opponent loses 2 life unless they discard a card. If you control a demon or a devil, you can gain 2 life. Pretty solid right there. No protection too crazy, but you have the -2. Create a 1/1 devil creature with the simple sacrifice. When it dies, deal 1 damage. Simple from there. And -7, target player draws 7 cards, loses 7 life. Solid upside on the ultimatum. I don't really think that's like an ultimatum personally. But just for the overall value, it's pretty epic.
Yeah, this card is nuts, depending on the deck that you're putting it in. So let's talk about Prosh again.
Mhm.
3 mana, play this, sacrifice Prosh himself after you've already pumped him up to an enormous amount. And then yeah, 3 mana helped you to draw 7 cards. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. But yeah, 3 mana and 3 mana draw 7. That's absolutely insane. Even at the loss of 7 life, in a deck like Prosh, it's an aristocrats build. You're going to gain that life back.
Yeah,
It is
even
what
in
it is.
Commander in
Like,
general, 7 life is literally almost.
so the next one we have is Vivian on the Hunt. It costs 4 green and green for a 4 loyalty planeswalker, and it reads +2. You may sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle. Then we have +1, mill 5 cards, then put any number of creature cards milled this way into your hand. And then -1 is create a 4/4 green rhino warrior creature token. Yeah, this thing is a literal birthing pod on a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I think, and even the fact that it has -1 for some protection, again, it's a high end at the 6 drop, but the ability that it can do is it's worth that value right there.
Yeah, for sure. And in the right deck, even that +1 is great. Like being able to take a creature out of your graveyard and throw it into your hand, plus getting to throw 5 cards into your graveyard. I mean, in a lot of decks, that's an extension of your hand, right? So fill it up as much as you can and go nuts.
Bingo. And then lastly, we have Elspeth Resplendent, 3 white for a 5 loyalty. +1, choose up to 1 target creature, put a 1/1 counter and a counter from among flying, first strike, lifelink, or vigilance on it. -3, look at the top 7 cards to your library, put a permanent with mana value 3 or less from among them on the battlefield with a shield counter. Put the rest in the bottom of the library, random order, and then -7, create 5 3/3 white angels with flying.
Oh man, let's get to that -7.
I want to get to the -7. I wish they were 4/4s. It's always weird when they make 3/3s because there's only like 2 sets that now. I think it's the second set that it has 3/3 white angels. So getting those tokens, obviously infinity tokens, like sponsor us please, but getting those MTG 3/3 tokens are pretty difficult in a sense. I like it a lot. One thing I didn't like about it, but I'm questioning as to the storyline. She doesn't put out any creatures, quote unquote. Obviously the -3, but she also doesn't wrath the board, which a lot of times Elspeth in the past has done those things, created some tokens or wrath the board. So I'm wondering, this is about her new coming of age in a sense. So I'd like to see where the story goes with this card.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a better Elspeth out there, but I don't think this one's a bad one. I like the fact that you get to put 2 counters on a creature, right? Because counters matters. This is something that Wizards is clearly exploring more of, and it's going to help to create and support those niche decks that focus heavily on counters.
Exactly.
All counters, not just 1/1s.
All right, and next we have some just the overall staples of the abilities that Wizards are showing off. First, we have Gala Greeters, 1 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. When another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that has not chosen already. This is for the Alliance ability. You put a 1/1 counter on Gala Greeters themselves, create a tapped treasure token, or gain 2 life. Pretty neat. It's simple, straightforward, to the point. I do wish that it triggered more than just those certain times, but
Oh, it'd be completely broken if
it'd
it
be
did.
beyond broken if you were to do that. Yeah, but again, it's definitely solid.
Yeah, I mean, if you play it in a deck that has a lot of creatures that you can play at instant speed too, this is
Very
great,
true.
right? Because we know what we want to do, right? We want to make more treasures. So being able to play things on your opponent's turns to be able to create those treasures, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. If you can build, if your deck is already like doing that. Next one we have Jaxis the Troublemaker. It is 3 and a red for a legendary human warrior, 2/3. It costs red and tap for and discard a card, excuse me. To create a token that's a copy of another target creature that you control. It gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Activate only as a sorcery. It also has you can blitz for 2 mana.
Like
Chris, want to tell us what blitz is?
So Blitz is kind of like a pseudo dash ability, but it gives that extra on top of it where you need to just sacrifice that card at the end of the actual turn itself, as opposed to just bringing it right back to your hand.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a great card. I wonder how good it would be in Delina. I feel like this would be something that helps out that deck quite a bit because we've done some gameplays before with some other people who have played Delina. Corey. And for a lot of the game, he's not making anything, and this would be something that helps him to do that. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been looking into build this myself right now. I do like the fact of like it's a pseudo sneak attack in a sense. You get to copy something on the field, have a bunch of back and forth with it. I think it's pretty neat. All right, next we have Arcane Bombardment for red for an enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard at random, then copy each card exile with Arcane Bombardment. So this can be potentially multiple times if you have this in the field long enough. And you may cast any number of the copies without paying the mana cost. It's a Mizzix mastery for the long game.
Yeah.
So I think this is like a more controlled version of the Mizzix, which I'm pretty excited about this. If this just goes past a couple of turns, it's definitely like even one turn, don't get me wrong, it has some serious value. Because again, it's first instant or sorcery spell each turn, not just on your own turn. So if you have a bunch of instants and sorceries and instants, all the turns, boom, 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 boom. Value.
Yeah, I think this card is actually great. I definitely think that you need to be able to protect it. I think that this is something that people are going to be removing on site, and when you just invested 6 mana in it, especially with how fast our format's getting, and how the more expensive spells are the ones that should be closer to a game-ending type effect, unless you can afford it, of course. I think that this is something that if you're going to play it in your deck, you're going to want to have a lot of ways of protecting it and making sure that people don't remove it on you.
Cut your losses, which this is great and horrible at the same time. It is 4 blue for casualty 2 sorcery. As you cast this, you may sacrifice a creature of power 2 or greater when you do copy it. Again, the typical casualty ability. Target player mills half their library rounded down.
This is mean.
This is just
this
straight
is so mean.
And the fact that you could do this and casualty 2 and copy it, so you can do it to 2 opponents. So if you're playing the deck where it's basically if you mill, double the mill, that is the mono blue commander. You are now killing,
Bruvet.
You're killing 2 opponents at the same exact time, not just one.
Yeah.
So 1 card combos, technically 2 if you include the commander, don't get me wrong, but like 1 card combos potentially are beyond broken. Again, yes, this is obviously 6 mana to cast, but you can copy it right from there. Definitely, I think this is an automatically include if you want to be just evil.
Yeah, as long as they have an even amount of cards in their deck. If they have an odd amount of cards, because it says round down, I don't think it kills them. But I mean, it might as well. They're gonna have 1 card in their library by the end of it, right? All right. Next up, we have Erabrask Heretic Prater. It costs 3, a red and a red for a legendary Phyrexian Prater. That's a 4/4 with haste. And at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time that they would draw a card this turn, instead they exile the top of their library. They may play it this turn. It's like a pseudo Ubamask. This card is awesome. I actually really love this card. It's going straight into my Prosper deck. These are the types of cards that I like to see because again, they push red into a direction that's going to help with that card advantage and help move them closer and closer to the green, blue, and black side.
Yeah. And again, and Erabrask in the story, he is the good guy in a sense. Like, he's the better of the Praetors, so it's definitely cool that they're giving that open, spanning it out pretty further. All right, next we have Devilish Valet, 2 and a red for a Devil Warrior with Trample and Haste. The fact that they give it Trample is beautiful. Alliance, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double Devilish Valet's power until end of turn. This is put this in Krenko.
This is broken.
Imagine this in Krenko.
No, I don't want to imagine this in Krenko. It has haste. Why did they give it haste?
Trample and haste. So you pay out. Let's say you have 5 things out there. You now tap it. You create 5. You're doubling it 5 times.
Yeah. This is literally don't play it until you know a lot of creatures are going to come out and then kill somebody.
Yeah, easily. Because it doesn't say it triggers only once a turn. That's what makes this so much like the top tier. You know?
Yeah. This will get broken quick.
Yeah, very fast. All right, and now we're gonna go over some like the quote unquote like the staple images of what the actual mobs are for the tricolor options. First, we have Maestro's Diabolist. Oh, how you pronounce it? Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it.
You said it right. Yeah.
All right, it is a Grixis 1/4 with Death Touch and Haste. Whenever Maestro's Diabolist attacks, if you don't control a Devil token, create a Devil token that is tapped and attacking. It is a 1/1 Devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Simply put, it brings a little devil along. 1/4 death. I'm happy they put Death Touch on it though, which again, that it adds a little bit extra to it. If it was just a basic 1/4 haste, I would like be kind of so on it for the whole like staple of Maestros in a sense, but still pretty cool how it brings it over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it's an okay card for sure.
Yeah.
But that art, oh man, that art is dope.
Yeah, definitely.
So next up we have Nimble Larcenous. It costs Esper, which is white, blue, and black for a 2/1 creature bird rogue, and it has flying. When Nimble Larcenous enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact, instant, or sorcery card from it and exile that card. Not something that you see us doing a lot in Commander, just because it's not super impactful to do stuff like this to just one player. But still, it is a flyer. It is something that you might play in your Blink deck, because you'll be able to abuse it and do it multiple times, and it is in those Blink colors, so why not take advantage?
Exactly. Then we have Disciplined Duelist, which is for Bant. It is a 2/1 human citizen with double strike. It enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. I think this is just a straight up just basic good one because it has the double strike option and a shield counter, which again was the pseudo totem armor, which I think this is for like a basic Bant build that you want to go wide in a sense with some humans, or even putting it into like the modern human tribal deck. Not a bad option. Next, I think I'm beyond excited for, and I think Eddie as well, is the Professional Face Breaker. Oh my god, I want to build on this just for this. It is
You want to build what?
I want to build Prosper
Oh yeah,
just because of this card, and I put in the chat. I'm like, I want to do a Prosper Cheerios deck just to see how fast that can be. It's gonna be like a janky version of Prosper, but like just to see how she rolls, to see if I can get that to go off, will make me feel like, oh, this is a good day. All right, this is a 2/3 human warrior with Banache for 2 in a red. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Cool. Nice ability to stack that on there. Sacrifice a treasure token, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn.
Yep, that's why this card is broken.
Oh my lord, it's not even a tap ability. It's just sacrifice a treasure, period. Throw this with Prosper, sacrifice a token, get a 0-drop or a 1-drop, boom, now you get this. You could roll this out like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even without Prosper on the board, as long as you have a bunch of treasure, this is literally 1 mana draw card. Next one, Cormela, Glamour Thief. This costs 1 and Grixis, that's blue, black, and red, for a 2/4 legendary vampire rogue. And it has haste, and pay 1, tap it, add Grixis, spend this mana only to cast instant and sorcery spells. And when Cormela dies, return up to 1 target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. This is kind of has a lot of Kess feel, huh?
Yeah, I think that this is gonna like. I'm still weary about it. Don't get me wrong, but I think this could lead into a CDH territory because it has haste on it. So I know like Cody does very, very well because you have the ability to go from 1 mana on him from 3 to 4 mana. This goes from 1 to 3 mana. Yes, it is only instant or sorceries, but that is still a huge ability right there. Because again, slap it on haste, and when it dies, as an additional LTB trigger. Definitely a pretty cool option.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw a bunch of untap effects in this, you can just spam the crap out of mana and play a ton of instant and sorcery spells. Or you can use an instant or sorcery spell that's going to help to have the table draw themselves out.
And then lastly, we have Evelyn the Covetous 2, and guess what? We have the hybrid mana gag again. Flash. Whenever Evelyn the Covetous or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter on it. So already it's herself and another vampire. Great start. Once each turn, you may play a card from exile with a collection counter on it if it was exiled by an ability you controlled, and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast it. I am grateful they didn't say it's free.
We finally have another viable vampire tribal commander. It's so good. It's like really good. I mean, we have Edgar Markov, whose Eminence ability is terrific, right? But now we have Evelyn, who we can play a vampire and kind of draw a card off your opponent's libraries. Oh no, it says each player. So
It's each
yours
player.
as well. This
Yep.
is incredible.
It's every
I love
player.
this. This is so good. And you can throw Prosper in it. Just saying.
And the best thing is, yes, the secondary ability is only once per turn, but that top ability is not once per turn. So you can get a multiple vampires to the battlefield at once and get a bunch of collection tokens on all those actual cards themselves and just keep it there. It's very similar to Gonti, where once it's exiled, it stays in exile, and you get to use the ability. This is very, very similar to that, and I'm pretty sure like that ability goes unnoticed a lot of times with Gonti's abilities.
Yeah, you now have a hand of cards that people can't interact with, which is incredible because wheels are extremely prominent in our format. And then on top of that, you get to play things like Prosper.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say that again.
It's the truth.
But aside from that, just keep in mind you do need Evelyn on the battlefield to be able to play them. But the nice thing is when Evelyn's on the battlefield, even the stuff that was exiled before, if I'm reading this correctly, should be playable. So
Correct,
that's a huge bonus. So you don't lose any of your cards by somebody killing off Evelyn. And she has Flash. Commanders with Flash are always crazy. So play this. This is gonna be good.
And that is our week 1 review. Eddie, what is your overall opinion of week 1 so far?
I'm building Evelyn.
Yeah, kind of think as much. All right.
It's so good. What?
Yeah. Splash and blue is just blue is a great color. Don't get me wrong with the Mardu colors are pretty solid with Edgar Markov. Don't get me wrong, but Grixis vampires I think it's gonna have that little edge to where they need to be.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely gonna have to go and look up all blue vampires. I don't even know if there are any, but I know this deck is gonna be very good, and everyone should consider it because it's gonna be a lot of fun. As far as the week 1 review in general, I am still super excited about New Capenna. This looks amazing. This set looks great, and it looks like it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Oh yes, I am beyond excited to see what kind of like shenanigans and deals and kind of parties that they throw in this. It's pretty epic. All right, so that was our week 1 review of New Capenna. I cannot wait. Again, our name is Chris and Eddie from One More Game MTG. Where can they find us, Eddie?
Yeah, so keep in mind, you guys can always find us at omgmtg.com. You can find us at onemoregamemtg.com. We also have our Twitter, our Instagram, which are both onemoregamemtg.com. So make sure you head over, subscribe, follow, all that stuff, and check us out.
All right, everyone. Peace.
Take care.